already, we'll go ahead and get started. As I said, I'm Kevin Brickman. I'm the senior planner, kind of overseeing this project to add a dog park amenity to Ninth Street Park. To give you a little bit of background, I've been working with the neighborhood for almost 2 years now to try to get a dog park in the area, and this project came about, and it's kind of a first for us to be creating a what we call an urban dog park. Most of our dog parks are anywhere from 4 to 6 acres, if you've ever been to one. But this site is only a quarter of an acre, so it's a much different animal to deal with, so to speak. So we did have a little sneak peek meeting 2 weeks ago, Thursday on the 4th, with the neighborhood dog park committee folks, and they gave us a lot of great feedback. And what you're going to see tonight is response to those comments we received. And I want to basically turn it over to our consultant that's been working on this job for the last couple months, Kimley Horn. Laura will be our speaker tonight. And Laura, if you're up and running, we're ready to move forward.
Thanks, Kevin. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Laura Handleton. I'm with Kimley Horn. We're the consultant working on this park. So I'll just kind of give a run through and we can have some questions and answers at the end. So just to get started, like Kevin and Bert were saying, we're working on kind of adding some upgrades to this park. We want to improve the park for dogs and for people. So we're going to be adding some play equipment for dogs and people. We're creating separate areas for small and large dogs, just so that everyone can use it. Make it inviting, safe, and accessible, and of course, make it fun. We're adding some play equipment, like I said, for dogs and for people. So the existing conditions today, like Kevin said, the park is a quarter of an acre, so it's pretty small. We have some play equipment there today, and the park kind of abuts some existing buildings, so it's a little bit enclosed, and it is fenced in today as well. These are some photos of the play equipment that is there today, as well as the mural that is on this building behind the park. Some more photos of the existing play equipment today. And you can see that there is some good tree cover on the site. There's also, like I said, the fence, so that is helpful as kind of a starting point for enclosing the park. And we have some benches and seating today, which we are going to be replacing, but we'll still have some seating in the park. So as we've been working on improving this park, we've been adding, like I said, play equipment for people and for dogs. Because this is kind of a small park in a constrained environment, we're working on kind of some creative play solutions, you could say, so that there's things for the dogs to play on and interact with that fit in this small space. So you can see some photos here of our precedents and some of the things we'll be doing. Seating, of course, the doggy bag stations, and then some things that we're calling like the doggy balance beams, so some items for the dogs to interact with. So this is a plan of the park. This outline you see around the edge here is the borders of the existing park today. One thing to point out is that this little corner here is actually city property. So that is that will kind of be part of the park because it will be within our fence area, but we can't really add anything there. So just keep that in mind. So today there is an entrance right here off of 9th Street. So we'll be maintaining that general area to enter the park. There's actually a second entrance here today, which based on some feedback that we received last week, we're actually going to be removing one entrance so that everybody comes in one area. That kind of allows everybody to come in one spot and choose, I guess, which area to go to from there. It is separated by some new fence lines. So you can see here, once you come in, there will be a gate on this new entrance so that it can be locked at night and opened up in the morning. Once you're inside, this is what we're calling the human section, where there's some play equipment for people, a plaza and some benches and a water fountain over here, as well as some play equipment, which I have a photo of on the next slide so you can see what this looks like. But this is some play equipment for people. And like I said, once you're inside, you can then go into the dog park from there. So this is our gated area that you enter into. From there, you can go into the small dog area or the large dog area. So starting with the small dog area, this is, when we say small dog area, it is very small. It's a place that you can definitely let your dog out to wander around off leash, but it's not a very large area. There will be a dog balance beam in there, so kind of like the images that I showed on the previous slide. We're also using these boulders in here, which we're calling kind of our go zone. So as soon as we enter the park here, the dogs can go over here to use the bathroom. There will be a couple benches along the edges so that it's a little bit shady if you're gonna sit and watch your dog. And then the drinking hydrants are over here. So this will be similar to other dog parks where you bring your own bowl, but there's water access here to fill up the doggy bowls. Coming over here, there's also the option to enter here the large dog area. This one much bigger, but of course it's still only 1/4 of an acre. So it's still a little bit small, but a lot of room for dogs to kind of run around the edges here. Again, we have a go zone as soon as you enter, and the drinking hydrant, again, it will be the same thing as in the small dog area, but there's one on either side of the fence so that you can access it no matter where you are. And then a larger doggy balance beam here as well. So as you can see, kind of like I said, DIY solutions to having some kind of small format things for dogs to interact with, piles of boulders and balance beams. And then also, like I said, the obstacle course thing for the people. So this is kind of our main area here that really divides the site into, like I said, people, small dogs, large dogs, and you can kind of choose your own adventure from there. Zooming in a little bit, this just kind of shows some images of the materials and the items that I was talking about. So in the large dog area, as well as in the play area, we're going to have kind of a standard mulch for the for the dogs and for the play area. For the small dog area, we're trying out a different material, granite fine, so it will kind of look just like a gravel. So we're trying 2 different materials here, kind of just to test it out, see what they like. As you can see, also some photos of these boulders for dogs to climb on. Our little balance beams are shown here. And then this is an image of the obstacle course that we're going to use in this area. So this can kind of be used by really all ages, and it's more of like a natural look, and it can kind of be formatted to fit this area so that we can kind of maximize the space for the dogs, and then but still have this larger play equipment in there. Okay, so I will go back to this screen. Bert and Kevin, is there anything that I missed here?
No, I think you pretty much covered a lot of the comments we received a week and a half or so ago was making the large dog area as big as possible, which we have expanded it. Make the small dog area more of a rectangle, more of a run type layout. Switch the gate. We had the original entrance to the dog parks to the far right where the existing entrance is now. We removed that gate altogether, made it one entrance, gated entrance into the park in general. So if you're coming as a human, so to speak, or if you're coming with your dog, you come in the one gate that will be controlled. And if you have a small dog, you go to the Sally port, what I keep calling it's a double gated area where you can come in, shut the gate behind you, open the gate into the particular dog park area that you want to go to, and spend your time there where there's amenities and water available for the dogs in both sides of the park. If you've got several people with you and they're not hanging out with the dogs, they can go ahead and hang out at the obstacle course, which is, it's kind of a multi-generational structure that I've seen kids at as little as 3 years old up to adults using this thing. So it's something that's a little bit more flexible for whoever might be with you all, that it's just to be able to provide an amenity in the park for people that do not have dogs, as well as folks that are using this park as a dog park, but it's not 100% dog park. It's still a county park. And we want to make sure we're appealing to all the users, whether they're dog owners or not. So I think you pretty much covered what kind of where we're at. As I said at the beginning, this is kind of a first for us to be able to create an urban dog park. A lot of folks are doing it on the private sector, and this is the first one we've kind of done on the public side to see how these dog parks work in these very small, tight spaces, because we are limited by space. As I said, our 7 dog parks that we have in the system now are multiple acres. So this one being only a quarter of an acre is a bit of a challenge, but we have seen prototypes like this in other cities around the country. I know Philadelphia has one that's similar like this, maybe not quite as small, but it's just an opportunity to be able to meet a need for the dog owners in this part of the city to be able to come in, use it, recreate, let their dogs run around off leash without having to, use parks that are not currently an off leash permitted park.
Yeah. One other thing too that I forgot to mention, there will be trash cans and doggy bags in this area. That's what you're seeing here, and then another trash can over here. And then as far as the fences, a lot of these fences, all the interior fences will be new. There's an existing tall chain link fence on this side, and then this will be a new fence. And then along the perimeter, there's a fence today that is actually, let me go back to our photo. So you can see it here. There's these brick columns with the fence in between. So we're going to be replacing the fence between to make it a little bit taller, and also to go all the way to the ground to prevent the dogs from escaping. But we'll be using the existing columns, reusing the existing columns, I should say. I've also somehow managed to draw on this, and I'm not sure how. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so with that in mind, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so there's been a number of questions, and I want to first say thanks for that overview. We've had a few folks join the meeting late, and so we had a little bit of a schedule snafu. The Zoom invitation said 5:30. The mailed out invitation said 6. So if you're somebody who logged on within the last few minutes, it's a very brief presentation. So what we can do is we can go through and answer some of these questions now. And then once we go through the questions, if you're satisfied, if you saw the whole presentation, you can log off. And if you'd like to see the whole presentation again, you can stay on. It shouldn't take that long to go through. So let me run you guys through some questions. Laura, this one's for you. How tall is the exterior fence in the design right now?
5 feet.
5 feet tall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are any considerations to protect against Graham Street traffic? And I wonder if that means 9th Street traffic.
No, I meant Graham Street traffic. That's the main, I think it's actually considered a highway that runs perpendicular to 9th Street.
Yeah, Graham Street is about half a block to the right of this image. So the whole dog park will be fenced. I guess in regards to Graham Street in particular, it is pretty far from this site, but we will have the whole thing fenced so that dogs won't be able to escape to any of the streets.
Okay. Let's see.
Where can I comment?
In the chat window.
Where is that?
Let's see. If you look on the bottom of your screen, there should be a pop-up down there that says mute, stop video, and then chat in the middle there.
Nothing says chat.
Sometimes it's under more with the 3 And then there's a chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can also, if anyone just wants to unmute and ask questions, that works as
Okay,
well.
this is Sarah. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When we talked a week or so ago, is there a requirement that there be, the obstacle course and area there for people that's not related to the dog park?
Yeah, so the way that we've been thinking about this is not necessarily that people will come to this area just for the obstacle course or for the play area, although I suspect that some people will, but more that there will be kind of an option for people that come with their dogs to let their dogs out to run around and also have their kids with them, that there will be kind of places for everybody to go, if that makes sense.
Well, it is such a small area. And, we've got Fourth Ward Park for people to hang out. And this, we've tried in this neighborhood for 30 years to turn this into a park where kids would come, and it has never succeeded. So I just don't think you're going to see people coming there for that obstacle course to come to that park. And it just seems like that whole corridor there from the lawn area up through the obstacle course, if everything was moved over and that was eliminated, the small dog park could be a little bit bigger, and it would just be all dog park because it's so tiny. I feel like we're trying to do too much.
Yeah, so for anybody who was not at the meeting a few weeks ago, we talked about this a lot, about kind of the ratios of the dog area to, again, what we're calling the human area. Yeah, I'd love to hear more opinions on that as well, but I do think it's a great point. It is such a small park, and we are trying to have space for everybody here. But considering how small it is, I think after talking with Bert and Kevin after the last meeting, we shrunk the people side a little bit and maximized the dog area as much as we could while still leaving space for people. And I think that because it's so small, even if this entire piece was all just one big dog park, it's still only a 1/4 acre. So
I understand. That's why I'm saying
mm-hmm.
to put part of it over there that's for human play when the park has never been successful in having that activity there. I'd rather just see the whole thing as a dog park.
Well, if I can chime in, being that this is a county park, it's still 9th Street Park, and we have to be able to provide amenities not only for the 4-legged creatures, but for the 2-legged creatures. And I can see the play area or the multi-generational play area being used basically by the dog patrons and their company that comes with them. And it's just a matter of being able to provide something for everyone versus just dog people. That makes any sense.
Humans are allowed in the dog area, right?
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Humans
Yeah. I don't believe kids under 12 are allowed within the dog area, but kids over 12 and adults are allowed in with their animals.
Yeah, I agree that I think this place is way too small to try to do all that you're doing, and having play area for children is very smart in a small place like this, which is made primarily for dogs. But there's the Fourth Ward Park that kids can play in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind too, as we've been dealing with a lot of homeless issues and vagrancy issues, and I've seen people urinate and litter in this very spot, and I don't really see anything that'll deter that very behavior from continuing. Because the kids don't end up coming to a park that has a lot of that risk in there.
I asked a question by chat, where is the park? I still don't know exactly where you're talking about. Where is the side street?
Michael, it's on 9th Street between Alexander Michaels and Graham Street.
Okay, so if you're going down 9th toward Alexander Michaels, it's on the left?
Yes, just past the little parking lot there.
Okay, thank you. I understand that.
Yeah, let me run through a few more of the questions that were asked in the chat. And then if we've got some additional questions, we can address those. There was a question about whether or not we had any photos of the entrance gates.
Yeah, so we do have some photos. Actually, this is a good idea of what the gate will look like here and here. But it will be similar to what is existing today, which you can kind of see in these photos. And we're going to be maintaining these brick columns. So it will look similar but taller to these existing photos.
And is it going to have a double gate for each of the dog park areas?
Yes.
Like an area to let your dog off leash that's enclosed?
It may be, yeah, so it might be a little hard to see in here, but that's what these little triangles are. This is the gate swinging out. So yeah, it will be gated at the front. And then there's this, what Kevin is calling a sally port here, that at this point you can let your dog off the leash, you know, and then let them into area. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
There was also a question about existing trees. We have all of them preserved here. So what you're seeing here are kind of an approximation of the canopy that is there today. And these are all being preserved.
I have a question. This is Shirley. So in the obstacle course or in the play area, there are not children allowed under the age of 12. So you see teenagers and pre-teens climbing on the obstacle course and not being bothered by dogs jumping on them, or I just wonder about, you know, one size fits all is usually a one size fits none approach. Trying to put too much into a dog park where, just for example, a beautiful Saturday a couple of weeks ago, the weather was in the 70s, and I went through Fourth Ward Park and the playground area, and there were no children at all playing. We just don't have many children uptown.
And just to second that, I'm trying to understand, it's 3 separate areas though, right? There's an area that would be for kids, an area for large dogs, and an area for small dogs. So if people are playing on the obstacle course, the assumption in my eyes is that dogs are not off leash in that section. Is that
correct?
Right.
This is showing? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where that differentiation is.
And it's 0.24 acres. A quarter of an acre is the whole
I still
design.
fully support all dog. I'm just clarifying that piece. I think I still support all dog as well. Size-wise and usage.
We had one comment about why the fence doesn't go all the way to the mural wall.
Yeah, this is our actually our property line here. So this building is not a county building or a county property, so it's going against the property line.
But is the property, so the property line doesn't go all the way to the building?
No.
Correct.
No.
Right. All right, let's see. There was a question about how we plan to keep the homeless people out of the park. And I'll start with that. And then if either Brian Joyner or Greg Clemmer with Mecklenburg County Park Operations want to jump in, they can. So we feel like part of the problem with this park is it's not heavily used for park reasons. And so it's a place where there are very few people that go there. And that's typically where a lot of the homeless population like to gather. We feel like by activating this park with the dog features, that it will be a less attractive place for folks to go and spend their time. We have made some changes on here based on the type of furnishings and things that we'll have in. So we'll have 4-foot long benches. We won't have any picnic tables or anything like that. So trying to keep the users here park users for the most part.
I see another question too about the kid area. How do they get into the park? So this line here, this is our fence line. So when you first walk into the park, this is where the people are, and then you can't let your dog off their leash until they're into the dog park area. So there wouldn't be dogs off the leash, you know, where the people are playing.
Where the people are probably not playing, right? Because they haven't been playing there for 20 years.
Longer than that.
What is the timeline for creation of the park? And what are the hours you estimate the park will operate?
We hope
Sorry, go ahead.
We hope to have the park completed and operational by spring.
Yeah, and all county parks are dawn to dusk, so it will be a dawn to dusk park.
I think one of the things I'd like you to consider is if you guys have this gap now between the two fences. So if you look at the very top of the screen, there's like a picture with the actual mulch in the upper left picture. That white square right there is the HVAC of the strip mall. And that is where homeless people go to have sex and do drugs. And so if you've also got a new little zone in between your new high fence and the mural, you have a new little secret spot for litter to be picked up every, and crack pipes and condom wrappers, etc. So right now that white little box next to that mulch is where that happens now. So you've made like a new little cozy spot for that.
Okay. Well, we can reach out to the owner of the building there and see if there's a possibility of obtaining an easement and tie the fence directly into that wall, so we eliminate that space in the back there.
That'd be good.
Well, there's a fence there now, right?
Yes, there's a fence there now.
And it doesn't connect to the building, is that correct?
Correct.
So it really wouldn't look any different than it looks
The
right
same
now.
as it is today.
Okay.
It'd just be different, taller, black aluminum picket fence. You'll still be able to see right through it. So not much different.
Well, except the white line at the very top of where it says large dog area, fiber mulch.
Yeah.
That white line is a new fence between the mural wall and the dog.
Yes.
So that's what he was suggesting. They could maybe get an easement for that no man's land.
What about removing the benches that you have on? You have about 5 benches on this diagram. I think those may be inviting to people to sit there and, drink or whatever. I think you would make it more welcome to dog owners and less welcome to transients if you remove the benches. I think most dog owners are not going to be sitting around on benches. They're going to be watching the dogs play.
I mean, right now there are 4-foot benches with arms on each end, so it would be very hard for anybody to spend or to lay down on them. I know that was a comment from we had a week and a half ago. We had picnic tables and they said, no. So we took those out and replaced them with more, they wanted seating, but not picnic bench seating. So we replaced them with the multiple 4-foot metal benches that you see on the drawing right now.
Does anybody else have any opinion about benches, whether or not dog owners need benches for a dog park?
I can kind of chime in on that. This is Brian Joyner. I'm the Central Park Region Manager with Park Operations. And I can tell you that that's probably the #1 requested thing that we get more of in all of our parks. People want to go and sit, they form groups, they meet friends, and they just want to casually hang out and let their dogs go play. So that is a top request that we get for all of the other dog parks.
The dog park that I go to is McAlpine Creek, and they actually do have picnic tables there, but I see people sitting there a lot. So I think it's important to have a place for people to sit.
Well, I think McAlpine Park probably has a different demographic than we do. So I think we have, some different concerns.
Right.
In McAlpine Park.
Because you also consider what a dog will get into, the litter and the drug paraphernalia.
Right.
Along with the vagrancy.
I'll comment on that too. My first walk in this park, about a year ago, the first thing I noticed, I photographed everything, and the playground equipment was what I consider to be inadequate. It was older, it was dated, it was very small. There were a lot of brick walkways that had come loose. You know, it wasn't an inviting place for me as a parent. I mean, if I lived in that area, I probably wouldn't take my children to that park to play. There's too many trip hazards and things of that nature. I think you're going to see a demographic change. There's going to be a very big change once this park becomes predominantly dog. You're not going to see people who are going to want to come into that area and sit with dogs jumping all over them. That's going to be attributed to the litter that's going to be cut back. There's going to be less of that activity because there's going to be more usage in those areas. So I don't think it's going to be inviting by comparison anymore. I think it's going to be a big paradigm shift, and you're going to see a change happen. What you've seen in the past probably is not going to accompany what's coming in the future.
I totally agree with that, Brian. And as a dog owner, I'm more inclined to spend a greater length of time at the park if there's a bench where I can, you know, sit down and take a rest for a little while. So I think that the 4-foot benches, Ruth pointed this out, with the arms that discourage the people to lay down, I think that that's a great compromise.
Will they have arms in the middle or just arms on the end?
They're just arms on the end right now, but they're only 4 feet wide or long.
This is Lisa. I've seen other dog parks where they had the armrest in the center and certainly deterred people from laying there. I've also seen people who are very clever about the way that they consume a bench, even if it is 4 feet.
Well, I mean, Fourth Ward Park has benches with the arms in the center, and if they're determined, they could still find a way to sleep there. It'd be great if the arm could be in the middle, I think, just in general.
The material in the large dog area, that picture of the brown dog with that material almost looks like wood cork or something. Is that material that cover the whole area? Will it rain?
Yeah, that would be for this whole area as well as the play area.
Yeah. It's an engineered wood fiber. It's not your basic mulch you get at the recycle center. It's what we use for playground surfacing, and it lasts several years, but it will need to be replenished over time on a cyclical maintenance schedule.
Well, the reason I asked the question is in Third Ward, when I go down there to the park, it often is very wet or pools of water because it doesn't drain well. It has a lot of dirt and muddy areas. So with this mulch, we won't have that, but it will drain well.
We have enough positive fall across the park to be able to under drain it and keep it as dry as possible. Absolutely. Now, Thursday afternoon is a different story, but normally it'll be pretty much dried up after a rain event.
Thank you.
And will the park be maintained regularly from like the perspective of cleaning up waste and garbage being emptied and things along that line, just as any other parks in our county would?
Yeah,
okay.
So, you know, folks that bring their dogs here are supposed to clean up after their dogs. I would assume that doesn't always happen.
Oh yeah, to be clear, I always clean up after my dog, and I completely agree that that's what should be happening. I'm just living in Fourth Ward. I've stepped in.
I wasn't passing blame on anybody in particular.
No, I'm sure the majority of us have stepped in poop once or twice, and I'm just hoping that it's going to have some observance as well from county. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it goes both ways, that as it becomes activated, that you all kind of self-police it and kind of shame the folks that aren't picking up after their dog. I know you guys do a good job currently, and
we can make a Facebook group and shame people who don't. Yeah,
I'm all for public shaming. So
perfect.
So yes, so yeah, I mean, we'll have the rules that state you're supposed to do that. We know it doesn't always happen. So when our rangers do visit the park to empty up the trash, we'll make sure to do a quick sweep around as well. And then in terms of like how frequent that trash is emptied, part of that will be based on the amount of use that we have. You know, if we're going by and patrolling 3 times a week, let's say, and we're finding, you know, full trash cans, then we might have to increase the number of times that we visit on a weekly basis.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Will there be recycling facilities?
We typically don't have recycling within our parks right now. And part of that is just the duplication of receptacles that we have, the cost associated with that. But it's definitely something that we can consider. It's something that we've talked about kind of on a system-wide basis. It's just right now it's too big of a pull to pull all at one time across the whole system.
Great, thank you.
There was a question about parking on 9th Street. We're not doing any improvements to the street or the sidewalk as part of this project, but there are striped spots that exist today on 9th Street, right in front of the park.
There was another question about consideration for shade within the area too.
Yeah, so all of the existing trees are being maintained, and we've put a lot of the benches will be placed kind of under those trees. But no, we aren't going to add any umbrellas.
There was a question about will the FOFW supplemental patrols be expanded to patrol this new park? I do not know the answer to that question.
I can answer that question.
Thank you,
so you're welcome. So the supplemental patrols are decreasing, not because of our budget, but because they're getting paid more to work at churches or other locations. There, we've already raised the amount that we pay them, and right now the chief is trying to find people to fill the positions, and we already have it infrequent patrolling, but it's going down. So do not depend on the Friends of Fourth Ward supplemental patrolling, because that is not constant, and we're not getting participation from the police. They are just getting paid better elsewhere.
That's is to add to that. It's probably about,
oh, good,
yeah, 1 shift a week or maybe 2 shifts a week. That's only about 3 or 4 hours at a clip, and usually it's done at night. So that's probably not going to impact the park, because there won't be anybody in the park. However, since it is in Fourth Ward, I suspect that as they drive by, they could kind of check on it. So, you know, yes and no. It'll be part of it since it's in Fourth Ward, but it's not. I wouldn't count on it a whole lot as being the primary security for that area.
And Chris, thank you. I didn't realize you were on the meeting, but Chris is actually in charge of that on the board, or that area of the board.
One of the things that the policing or the patrols do is they just, you know, look from the street. One of the things I'd like for you to consider in the design, at least in that tree in the kind of in the middle, just above the little where the dogs get off the leash. You see how there's bushes on so if you go up a little bit from that, yeah, there's bushes are kind of hiding that bench there. We really have to consider not giving the vagrants like secret places, because that's when you end up with a lot more drug use and, you know, other things.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can they trim back the bushes? Is that something feasible?
Yeah, these are going to be pretty small. These are you know, smaller bushes that will be kind of short, so it won't really be screening the benches too much. It's meant to be there to screen a backflow preventer that will be there in that location. And then this is an existing tree as well, so kind of some plantings around the tree.
Let's see, there were a couple more chat questions in here. There was one about whether or not there's any additional lighting that we're going to add to this. Kevin, you might want to take that.
I mean, right now, it's a dawn to dusk facility. We are not proposing to add any lights at this point in time, other than what's already out there on the streets. It's just one of those things. This is our first one we've done, and we understand that people might be using it after hours. that gate we've discussed at the last meeting of how it could be locked at certain hours to make sure that that park is secured after dark. And I still think that's the way we want to proceed. Brian, if you're still on, if you have any other thoughts to that or not, but it's right now it's a dawn to dusk facility. Like all
so
of our,
who unlocks it? Who locks it and unlocks it? How will that happen?
That park closure will be like all the other park closures. It will probably be something that will be handled directly by the park rangers in the evening hours as we're approaching dusk. And there is a lot of automation going on right now. So there's some opportunities to explore some automated locking gates that once the last person leaves, it closes and locks back automatically. But either one of those two mechanisms will be done. I'm pretty sure rangers will swing by that area at nighttime to make sure the park is emptied and cleared.
Maybe one question is, does it have to be a dawn to dusk? I mean, people have to walk their dogs at night, and people walking their dogs or letting their dogs run around at 10 p.m. actually helps avoid some of the real issues in the park after hours.
I mean, it's a two-edged sword. It's like when you put lights in a park, then you will have activity after dark, good or bad. And we've really kicked this one around. It's like, if this park is truly activated by a lot of dog users and they're going to use it after dark, I mean, it might deter some of that negative behavior. Right. But as I said, this is the first one we've done. We really want to see how it goes. And just before we commit to anything tonight, as far as lights are concerned, we want to just see, is this new use going to help this park? That's always been a problem in the past that you're all aware of, and we think this is a good use to be able to activate it, to get people using it, because when there are people around with, especially with dogs, you're going to have that kind of a negative aspect go elsewhere. So there's not a clean yes or no answer to that at tonight.
I noticed that the Parks Department has allied security, company police patrolling some of their parks. Will this be included in those patrols?
Brian?
Yeah, our contracted security basically works in conjunction with our partners from any law enforcement group, as well as our park rangers, to kind of coordinate how they circulate and move around just to maximize the efficiency. So whether this is being patrolled by Allied or Strategic that rolls by and checks the park, or maybe even some CMPD patrols or our park rangers, it'll be just like the other parks. It'll have eyes on it for sure. And I think with this one opening up as a dog park, there may be, especially early on, some extra sets being put on there just to kind of monitor things.
There was a question that popped up about, are small dogs allowed in the big dog area? Absolutely, but it's at your own risk. I mean, we try to separate them because we don't know. But we talked about that a week and a half ago, that, you know, most folks are going to go to the large dog area, whether it's a big dog or a small dog. But it's at your own risk, so to speak, for your dog to make sure he doesn't get attacked by a larger dog.
We've also heard from some users in the past whose smaller dogs don't want to be around larger dogs. So yeah, that's why we try to provide for everybody if we can. So all in all, you know, we've parsed out a couple little things here and there, but all in all, does everybody think that this is an improvement to the existing park?
100%.
Yeah, without
absolutely.
question.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm hoping all you people are going to be our future park rangers and use this space and really
absolutely.
let us know how it's going, because as I said, we've not done an urban dog park like this. I know people who use Romare and Fourth Ward, but that's really not an official dog park. And we're trying to fight that to be able to create special places for dogs off leash that aren't destroying the rest of the park. So this is a new one for us. So we're all learning together, and I appreciate your patronage and your comments, and really be our eyes on this thing so we can make improvements, make additions, make revisions as we see this thing moving forward.
There is a question that's popped up in terms of if this works, and if you know the folks who gather here now go elsewhere, is there any way that we can go and prevent or kind of control where they go? And unfortunately, I know I don't have the answer there. I don't know that anybody else here has the answer there in terms of where they may go and how we control that.
You mean where the homeless would go?
Yeah. I think they mentioned there was a building that's somewhat adjacent that is unoccupied right now, and there was some concerns that they may gather in that space.
They already do, so there's no change.
Ooh,
can the county try to purchase more land?
We're constantly trying to purchase more land all over the county, and it's a number one priority, no doubt. But in the urban area, there's just nothing available. Very tight.
I'll say I live right across from the park as it stands right now. And I've seen lately, maybe over the past 6 months, more homeless people going and hanging out at that vacant parking lot and building that's over to the right of this diagram, more than I see them in the actual park today.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the loitering aspect ebbs and flows. Whether you're talking about individuals who may be homeless or just individuals that may be hanging out. Typically, when an area gets higher usage, a lot of activity, if we're in an event season or something like that, it's going to push the element to a different spot. And typically it will move from one area to another. We see that with patrols that are addressing issues. If an area becomes what we call quote unquote hot, meaning that we're hitting it pretty regularly with CMPD and Allied, it just moves to another location. So those complaints. So again, and that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. I think with this coming online and the number of people that are going to be down there and just in and out of that place with dogs, I think a lot of these problems, I think you're going to be excited to see that a lot of these problems are probably going to subside.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds fantastic. And thank you, for including the neighbors. I saw a few questions on the chat and a few asked verbally, but I didn't quite hear the answer. Is the playground area on the left there, the obstacle area, is that already decided 100%, or is that still up for debate as far as utilizing the entire space for dog?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's still
park as well.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's still in the program. But I mean, I think you have heard as well as we have loud and clear that there's a strong number of folks here who believe that it's not necessary. So I think it's something that we'll definitely consider whether or not it's needs to stay in here, or if we just make that kind of open park space for now, or how we handle it.
I would really like to see it be more dog park.
Sure.
Can I ask the question just out of ignorance, is just as far as dog park users, do you come as groups? I mean, I'm just thinking that play area, and maybe that's not even the right word. It's really more of a multi-generational play structure. Do you come by yourself? Do you come in groups? Do you come with teenagers, kids? Do you come with older people? I'm just trying to understand. We don't want to exclude anybody from this public park, because right now it's a public park that has playgrounds and adult and kid amenities.
Well,
right now
Kevin, I think when we started working with you, the Fourth Ward Dog Park Committee, a little over 2 years ago,
right.
I sent you pictures. And so usually it's one person, or it might be the person and their boyfriend, girlfriend, or their spouse and their dog. every now and then, maybe once a week or every 3 to 4 days, you may see a child. And then they don't stay long because you can't take care of your child and the dog at the same time.
Well, that's
so
my
very,
whole point
very,
right
very
there.
rare children.
I understand right now, today, 2020, but is that going to change? We need to look longer term, and we don't want to exclude anybody as this project moves forward. You know,
I don't know that we're not excluding the children in Ballantyne or the children in South Park, but we don't have that many children uptown, and there's a beautiful park a few blocks away. So, and I would love to hear another opinion of someone that lives in 4th Ward. If you believe that a section of the dog park needs to be taken away and made for children to play, then please voice that opinion. But I'm hearing, and maybe I'm wrong, 100% on this call are saying you would rather it be full dog park use, which if you had a child, that child would be in the dog park, not sectioned off into a children's playground, which means if you're with the child, you would have to either give your dog to someone else, but you couldn't have a dog in the dog park and a child in the play area. You can't leave one and play with the other. Anyway, if there's a different opinion than the 4th Ward Dog Park Committee, could you let me know on this call that's not county? So again, just asking if anyone on this call that is not with Mecklenburg County wants a dedicated child's area playground.
Shirley, this is Kristen. There's people in the chat that are weighing in.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Brian says that he'd like the transitional space as a park function much better than just entering a dog park. So that's a different view.
This is Sarah. I'd like for it to all be dog park.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's some differences here for sure.
Yeah, and I would just second, I apologize whoever the last person was that was speaking. I didn't catch your name, but I think, it's owning a dog and having been to dog parks and dog bars and things many times in my life, it requires full attention, and dogs are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt, if people aren't paying attention to one or the other. So I'll just throw that out there as another. Now I understand there might be older children who can play independently or whatnot, but having that distraction can really lead to some serious consequences as well.
I think the other issue that is maybe not being considered is if we do the number of dogs that are in the neighborhood. I think if we do some sort of population count, you'll see that that there's a high pent up demand for a dog park.
Yeah.
So
yes.
The question is, if you've dedicated only, let's say a third or maybe even half of this already small area, your demand for what's going to be in that space is going to be really high. I remember when the Fraser Dog Park first opened, and that's much bigger, was very full until it evened out. And you're going to exclude some dog owners if you have too small of an area for dogs.
Most people in the chat are more for the dog park if you want to look in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the question that I always ask when I'm trying to play devil's advocate is excluding that play area going to eliminate someone from utilizing that public space, or is making it all dog park going to, if we have the playgrounds or the play area, will people in that area say, well, I'm not going to take my dog there? I think more people are going to say, well, we can't go there. We don't have the opportunity because we don't have a dog. So just food for thought.
Well, there's no reason for them to be there if they don't have a dog.
Right.
It's a dog park.
Right.
But my question to you all is that if you come in groups that as you said, you got to focus on your dog. You got other people that are like, what do I do while you're doing your dog thing? I'm just, once again, being devil's advocate. Is there another need for non-dog participants to be able to do while you're doing the dog thing?
No. I think there's a time and a place for everything, right?
Well, yeah.
You can take your dog and then you can go see your friends, or you can opt to go a block over to 4th Ward Park and play in the grass area on the playground or whatnot where you can have dogs
Like
on.
even on the
You
same
know, I
outing,
think that's the part.
even on the same outing, it's only a block away. So you can do, you know, run the dog for 10, 20, 30 minutes and go push the swings with the kids. But even I was going to say, if there is going to be remaining area for what you say multi-generational, could it not be in a more dense configuration? For example, one of the things that I see is that the swings get utilized the most in the current configuration of it.
Right.
And so you could even keep swings in just that lawn area, what it was shown at the next to the city property. And, you know,
there's not a large enough fall zone for a swing set, unfortunately, in that lawn area, and we only own half of it. So,
okay. So I forgot about the fall zone, but okay.
No, these are great comments. I mean, it's just like we pull the trigger and not have any play, and it's like, what's that going to? I just don't want to exclude anybody. That it's still a public park that's currently been a people park up until now. And now we're going to transition it to a dog park. But I still think, you know, I've got dogs. I'm not a non-dog person at all. But I got grandkids, and it's like, if I want to take my kid to the dog park, what's my grandchild going to do while I'm dealing with the dog? And then that's why it's there. And that's why we're having this meeting, to get your input.
Mm-hmm.
We think this playground is really more used for the dog users that come with the dog owners to this park. We don't see anybody, be quite honest, coming to this park, oh, there's a great playground thingy here. We don't have a dog, but we want to come here to play. I don't see it happening that way. We see this as an added amenity for the dog park users coming in the future.
And I just, I understand completely what you're talking about. It's just that it's so small.
I understand. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I don't think it's kind of like, it can't be, it's just not big enough to be all things.
Right. Because if there's going to be like 60 dogs that show up, you know, then
I hope not. Oh my gosh.
Well, we have 60 dogs in a probably 3-block radius, probably more.
Just schedule. It ain't made out for 60 dogs. I mean, no way.
Right.
But you get it. So we're public facing, and we have to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the public and everybody. And we just really don't want to exclude anybody moving forward with it, especially with being that this is our first one we've done in an urban area. So we want to get it right.
Is one option to, in the same conjunction with this, like to make this, like, for example, if you made it a fully dog park, but do it in conjunction with expanding the children's play area in Fourth Ward Park. Add another amenity at Fourth Ward Park with, you know, the same budget.
That's what I was.
But what I'm hearing is that even that one's not being used, from what I've heard a week and a half ago. I don't know if that's true or false, but
could I just add a little bit here? I was on the committee that put that little playground into Fourth Ward Park, and we spent a huge amount of time trying to find a place that would meet all of the OSHA and other requirements that are in place for any kind of a children's playground. That space is as big as we could get, which is why it's as small it is, because of course Fourth Ward Park is very small. And the decision was made at that time that we didn't want to dedicate any larger part of the park to a children's playground, and that was where we could put in those pieces, and there's really not room. You can't expand it in that space.
Okay.
If I can just chime in, this is 2020. We're looking today based on what's going on now, but we got to look 10, 20 years down the road. And I'm seeing comments that, Charlotte is changing all the time. I've been here since 1989. I've seen a lot of change in this town. And I really just want us to all be flexible as far as how this space works and how it's going to be used. I think the activation by the dog users are going to make a tremendous improvement on what's happening out there currently. And but once again, I can't stress enough that I don't want to leave anybody out, whether it's somebody that's with a dog park user or not, to be able to have something to do in this public space.
Well, I would just make the observation that it's obvious that most people don't agree with that decision. However, if that's the decision that has to be made to move forward, let's just move forward and say it has to be there. But I don't think from what you're hearing back from people that everybody's going to suddenly say, well, yeah, fine, we think it's great. If it has to go there, it has to go there. Let's just don't talk about it anymore.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
But I do hope that you can find a way to get an easement all the way to the building, because that's kind of that space that's usable now that basically goes away with the fence and becomes, I mean, I pick up litter on this park and in the playground, and I pick up the condom wrappers and the crack pipes, you know, on this the white zone behind the parking lot. If you've got that little breezeway right there, I know exactly what's going to be there.
I hope you're wearing gloves.
I'll use like a pickup stick. But you know, but also it would be usable space that the strip mall doesn't need. So.
Well, that's one thing about that strip too, is also all the roof drainage from that building. It's a swale, which is basically a ditch or a small ditch. All their stormwater runs off that building into that area. So I don't know if we want to incorporate that into the dog park or not, but it's just a detail to work out.
And one thing I did mention, I know it's kind of maybe minor aesthetic, but you know, every sidewalk and pathway in Fourth Ward is brick, and the current pathway is brick, but I'm seeing concrete there. I feel like concrete is an aesthetic downgrade. Is that a choice that's designed by the budget? Can the current bricks be reused?
We've talked about that early on, if we can use some of the brick pavers in areas, but I don't think we can be able to use them all. It's just based on you're paying for it twice to pick them up and then relay them. So concrete is the most cost-effective, maintenance-free pavement, especially for this kind of an amenity for this to occur. But I'm not saying it's totally ruled out.
We've got brick paths that lead into the park now, right, Kevin?
Yes.
So we can see how much we have based on how much we need.
Right.
And we may be able to at least use what we have within that area. And
or just line it, you know, line the
edge or line.
Exactly.
The concrete to clean it up and give it a little bit of a cleaner look. I think that's a great idea.
That'll work.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Hi, my name is Walter Sanders. I'm in the Fourth Ward. I'll be the incoming president of the Friends of Fourth Ward, and I'm honored by that. I've just gotten a bit of a recap from Shirley and from some of the other people who are on the committee here that was put together by Friends of Fourth Ward. And I'm concerned, can someone give me the reasoning on why there's going to be a human element to the park as well?
Oh, Lord.
It was, I think the perspective was made very, very clear at the last meeting that we had with a number of representatives. But I'm just trying to understand the reasoning. Why this group is insisting on going forward with the kids' playground and the people playground in such a tiny space.
Well, typically when we think of parks, we think of all types of users, and we've got play equipment within the park now. We felt like having some kind of a small section of play equipment there for young families who maybe don't have dogs could come use that equipment, watch the dogs play, and have something to do within that small corner of the park. The vast majority of the park is going to be used for the dog area. But
a quarter of an acre, though, is it not? Roughly a quarter of an acre. Isn't the total land there? The footprint's about a quarter of an acre.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a resident of the Fourth Ward, and there's so much action at the nearby Fourth Ward Park, where there's modern equipment that's safe, doesn't present a liability issue, and so many people go there because there's strolling paths. You can walk with your stroller, and it's just more inviting. So I thought the whole purpose of this park was to dedicate it to dogs and to eliminate some of the overhanging problems that we've experienced with drug use and homeless individuals.
When I was in high school, they had a smoking patio.
Did that come through at all?
Isn't that amazing? I don't think high schools have smoking.
Yeah, I won't rehash too much. We've talked about a lot of these points so far, but definitely still under consideration whether we keep that area or not. But to Kevin's point, it's, you know, we do think of parks as being for everybody, and this isn't, you know, solely a dog park the way we have it now. It's a park for everybody that has options, you know, for families and dog owners. So we do understand though, it's, you know, it's a small area. So we are taking it into consideration.
Is this the only public forum that you all will be having, or will there be additional opportunities to solicit neighbor input? This is the first time that I was hearing about this park coming to fruition, and I've lived here for 5 years. So just curious if there's other opportunities for neighbors to weigh in.
I believe this is, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is our last meeting that we're doing for this one.
Yes.
Okay. And so there won't be like a survey, like an emailed survey or anything that's sent out. This is the last opportunity for neighbors to provide input.
Correct. We had a meeting back on November 4th with the dog park committee, and then we had this tonight with you all. And you know, it's a capital reserve project that we want to, as I said, it's our first one and get started, and just will we get everything right from the day one? I don't know, but it's just we want to be able to get this thing activated and be able to create a positive amenity in this part of the city and the county, and see how it goes, and just see how we can improve upon it moving forward.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I'm very excited about this park, and I appreciate the opportunity to share input. And yeah, I would just say one more plug for the 100% dog park.
I think we've heard that a couple times, so I understand.
Wait, I need to.
So I did not catch the person's name who just spoke up, who was asking about additional input. But what I did, I put my email address within the chat window. So if anybody has any follow-up questions or comments they'd like to share, please send me an email, and I'll make sure to share that with the design team.
Great, thank you.
We have one more comment, please.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm Miller Wyckoff. I'm president of the Friends of Fourth Ward. Just jumping into this conversation. By far, the consensus for the Friends of Fourth Ward membership is dog park.
That's what we asked.
That's all we need. The playground has never worked. We've tried it. I've lived here 33 years. The derelicts that hang out in that park ruin it for anyone that wants to bring their child, their grandchild, their nephew, their niece to that park. The only way we're going to get the derelicts out of that park is to make it a dog park.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can we get some sort of commitment that this overwhelming input on a 100% dog park will be respected and embraced by the committee? I didn't sit through the whole meeting, but I think that's the way we have got to go.
No, I don't think we're going to make a decision on the fly tonight. I think we need to make sure that we talk with our operations folks and make sure that we're thinking about everybody within this area who may or may not have a dog. And we don't want to keep somebody from being able to utilize and enjoy the park.
I would love to invite you to 4th Ward. If you could come to 4th Ward Park 5, 6 o'clock at night and come see us with our dogs, and also come any time of the day, especially a very pleasant day, weekend, come to our playground area, but especially come and observe our dog owners and our dogs. We would love for you to come and actually experience what's here, because I'm not sure you have a complete understanding. We very much appreciate the dog park. It's something that we've been working on for years and that we're so excited about a dog park.
Right. There just aren't very many children here. There's a lot of dogs.
Correct. There currently are not a lot of children and there are a lot of dogs. You are correct about that.
Participants.
All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the feedback. This is great.